Is up, everybody, and welcome into the DNVR Nuggets podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Right there to the left shoulder of Brendan Vogt, floating right there in his room. Can you guys? Is the music on? Can we hear it? Is everything off to a great start here?
We're doing great.
I can hear it in the background. I can hear it.
Okay, there you go. We're doing this over StreamYard today. Should be a good one. We got two prospects to talk about. Not gonna lie, don't want to bury the lead. A little meh on both prospects.
Oh, don't speak for all of us, Adam.
Well, I am speaking for myself. I know where Harrison is because he was hyping this guy up all day yesterday, all day today. I know you're excited. The man with the wind in his hair, but hidden behind it. You got a fresh cut, and he threw a hat on. What's going on here?
It's been a slow morning for me. Just like diving deep into these prospects, man. Just combing through binders and binders of notes.
Binders, wow.
He couldn't even find his hair gel, just buried underneath all that data.
Yeah, I love that he also called it morning. It's definitely 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
2 o'clock in the afternoon. Right. We are so pathetic. Yeah,
so close. And then a man who's been up since the crack of dawn.
That's right. Got up at the crack of dawn, actually, then fell right back asleep. That's my usual pattern. Happy to be here, though. Let's break down some prospects.
Sleep is the best sleep. If you you wake up really early and you have to do like a couple hours of work and then you go back to bed, that's second sleep.
Oh, it hits so good.
Every minute of second sleep is like 6 minutes of regular sleep.
That's just science.
It is science. And drunk sleep is like 1/8 of a regular sleep. So if you slept 24 hours after like a night of binging, it's like 3 hours of actual sleep you got.
High sleep better than all sleeps, though.
That's right. It's like 10 to 1 ratio.
Yeah. You know, I looked this up because I was so curious. Not true. Actually, it's terrible sleep. It's really,
I don't believe that.
It's really, but you don't fall into REM sleep when after assuming we're talking about the very legalized marijuana here in the
I think it's just that some people get to a point where they can't fall asleep without it. But
some people. We got a bonjour. We've got a you're good. So far we're on the comment section, off to a really hot start today, guys. I'm excited. We have some breaking news, and I'm talking some major breaking news. Vlatko Cancar has a new photo out, and my
God,
damn!
Look at this thing!
Come on,
look at this thing, guys! This is. I'm not even joking. This is the best Vlatko photo we've ever had.
Is that better than the potentially photoshopped one from the bubble?
Yes. This one's not photoshopped. These are real muscles. I mean, look at he looks so happy. It's a close up. The one from the bubble, he wasn't even close up.
Vlatko claims that's a real photo, by the way. That photo shot.
One of the bubble?
Yeah. But that's incredible. What a glow up for Vlatko.
That's like the guy. That's the look of a guy who just stepped foot inside the Olympic Village for the first time.
Oh, wow. He knew what he was training for.
He's in the doors. He's taken in his surroundings.
This might be like the number one target of the Olympic Village, if we're being fully honest right here. I mean, this is Mr. Still Your Girl right here. I mean, my God.
That quiet boy next door charm, but whoa, watch out. He's been
totally Mr. Respectful, but say something, you hoot and holler at his girl walking down the street, he's going to kick your ass. I mean, this guy is incredible. Honest to God, though, all jokes aside, we always do muscle watch in the offseason in Male Form Corner, but I'm looking at this dude. Is somebody have a weed whacker right outside their building?
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, I think that's me, actually. The good folks over here. It's actually a one of those blowers, one of those leaf blowers.
Oh, that's
okay. All right, one of those blowers. No, but in all seriousness, man, like this, he really does look like in the best shape. I am continuing the price of Vlatko. What are the Vlatko bandwagon tickets? They're so expensive right now. They're so high, but I still think you should hop on because they're only going to get more high after this Olympics.
Vlatko is so primed for like not just the current fan favorite. Harrison, this is so hard to work
this
over.
Is so on brand too. Look at this.
But like a lasting cult hero, like the Hall of Cult Hero in Denver, Vlatko's got a chance to work his way in there. The stock's rising on the court, off the court. This is like a Gordon Hayward-esque glow up, man. There was like a I don't know, just more innocent, wet behind the ears Vlatko not too long ago, and now that's like an international symbol of Male Form Corner. Incredible stuff.
It is the international symbol of male form corner. Harrison had a good joke. I'm going to steal it unless you use it.
No, I mean, you guys know the joke, but like, there's no cardboard bed in the Olympic Village that's stopping that. Those beds don't stand a chance.
They don't stand a chance for Olympic Vlatko, the stuff of legends. Kind of underwhelming follow-up. We also got a photo of a Nugget who is in town in Denver working out. Aaron Gordon, usually a perfect specimen of the male form, but compared to Vlatko, I'm sorry, it's just it's underwhelming. I mean, I love Aaron Gordon. I think he's an incredible athlete, but this photo pales in comparison to the last one.
Yeah, like if you're the Nuggets media team, you got to do a little editing on this. Like you gotta throw a couple filters on there. You got to bring out the contrast, show the muscle definition a little more. But he is in full.
I like that you blame the photographer for this. This is my move. Whenever I get a bad photo, it's the photographer's fault.
He is in total summer vibes, though, with the hair out.
The smile. He's always smiling, Aaron Gordon. Have you guys noticed that? Seems like a happy fella. The lighting, though, like this is a tough lighting. And like I don't know if that's Photoshop for Vlatko, but it is kind of set up just to catch the muscles. You know what I mean? Like if Aaron's in a dark room with the right lighting, maybe touched up a little bit, I bet it looks just as good.
You're right. Look at the lighting, dark background, shadows of every crevice.
Yeah. And
then here, just bright, whatever. That being said, this is a better photo than anything I've ever taken of myself. So this is very, very good. Eric's not here, but I'll go ahead and say it for him. We do have long hair. The long-haired version of Aaron Gordon is back. I don't know if that's a bad sign, a good sign.
It's a summer vibe.
It's definitely a summer vibe. My God, your mic is all over the place. Let me see if I can adjust this. All right, talk for me, Harrison.
Is that too loud? Oh, I think that's too loud. Yeah. How's that?
It's coming in hot. Coming in hot here.
Does that sound better?
Yeah, that sounds. I mean, it sounds fine. Whatever.
Yeah. Okay. We'll deal with it.
We also have sort of some interesting news here. I want to pull us to. Let me see if I can share my screen here. We don't have, producer Kale out sick. Hopefully he gets back very, very quickly. So, sadly, I'm producing and hosting here today, but we got this news today that the NFL has informed teams that if a game cannot be rescheduled during the 18-week season because of a COVID outbreak amongst unvaccinated players, the team will forfeit and be credited with a loss for playoff seeding. So this is kind of crazy. Like, this is kind of big. We've talked about, we just went through the year of COVID, right? And we know, of course, the Broncos were the one team that lost all of their quarterbacks, and the NFL is like, so sorry, play anyway. Yeah. But this next year, it sounds like that's the official policy. Everybody knows. And it goes on to say here, teams are responsible for any canceled games because, again, it's unvaccinated players or staff, and will be responsible for financial losses and subject to potential discipline. So they're really taking this tough stance here, at least that they're indicating that they are. In talking about if you don't get your vaccine and you end up getting COVID and it spread to the team and we have to do this or that, we're not making up games this year. You just lose. Your team loses. And they're sort of trying to, it sounds like, put the pressure on every player to get vaccinated because there's just too much of a logistical nightmare to go through otherwise. Now, they did say if you do have the vaccine and you get it, you still have to get 2 negative tests within a 24-hour period. So it's not like you could still miss. But they're just kind of doing the thing where it's like, we're not going to blame you. We're not going to hold you responsible if you got vaccinated. I'm going to start with you, Harrison. What do you think of this policy?
I mean, it's wild. I can't believe the NFL is doing it. But look, money talks in the end. And the outcome of games that have to be canceled or rescheduled is money. And the NFL is pretty much saying, if you're the NFL is pretty much saying you have to get vaccinated without just coming out and saying you have to get vaccinated.
You can't say it. I mean, they can't force guys to get vaccinated, but they can levy this penalty if it's your risk. If you're going to risk it, it's a huge penalty. And peer pressure, by the way, creating peer pressure.
Yeah.
Right. I do wonder, though, the NFL is the first league to do this. Now that one league has come out and said it in some language, are the other leagues like, maybe we should put out some language like that?
Yeah, I wonder how much more complicated that gets. Like the more games there are in the season, right? The more possible reschedules you would have to sort of like take into account. At the NFL, it's just it's a much smaller schedule, so it's a little easier to manage in that sense. I think that's the big point right there that Hurricane just brought up. I can't imagine the NBA Players Association, which just has so much power.
Right. Yeah.
I'd be really surprised if because of that many games and that many game checks that could be lost, I'd be surprised if that was approved.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think there's a tide turning right now, I think, amongst this. Like, we've been in this weird thing. I don't want to get too into like, the weeds on this or the politics of it, but we've been in this period, like some people pro-vax, some people anti-vax, whatever, this or that. But it does seem like there's been a turning of the tide where it's like, okay, now they're starting to get pressure even from people who were previously opposed to it are now saying, hey, everybody go out and get, all of you that we've been resisting, it's time, let's all go do this. And I think some of that has to do with a third wave that's been hitting Europe and hitting these different places. Colorado, fortunately, so far, knock on wood, has been able to avoid this third wave and has, generally speaking, pretty good vax numbers. But I think that this is what it's kind of signaling. Like the NFL, which has been a little bit of a, they've been a little willy-nilly with some of this stuff now, is like putting the hammer down and saying, no questions asked. This is the tough thing. And I actually think it's going to have a major effect. There's going to be high-profile holdouts, right? I mean, there's been some like high-profile people.
Well, have you seen the DeAndre Hopkins tweet?
No.
Just today, he said he never thought he would say this, but he's rethinking his future in football, being put in a position where he has to take the vaccine.
All right. We'll see what DeAndre Hopkins is thinking when he's potentially not getting paid this year about his future in football.
I mean, that's the whole thing is it's like you were saying, you can't force people to do this, but this peer pressure is enormous. And
right.
I wonder if this is the way you make it go away. Maybe somebody does stand on principle and say, oh, I'm not doing this or whatever, but the NFL is going to move on without him. Like the NFL is bigger than the NBA in terms of like one guy goes down, doesn't matter. It's like we're an entity. We're this big thing. But I do think this might come to the NBA because, again, the NBA season doesn't start for another 4 months. And by the way, the NBA season begins the summer months, and generally speaking, kind of dips. The cases and everything dip a little bit. The winter, of course, everybody goes back indoors. I have a feeling that the NBA is going to implement the same policy, saying, hey, if you miss for this, if it's not the same policy, it's going to be something of if you miss because you're unvaccinated and you pick it up, it's like a really long wait period. But if you have it like Chris Paul or this or that, we're going to try to shorten that length as to make it as short as possible. And it really will, I think, have an impact on teams and their playoff seeding. So to me, I feel a turning of the tide. If the NFL's doing it, I think the other ones will follow some degree.
I think what you're also going to see is free agents who are like trying to get signed by teams. I don't know how privy, individual teams are going to be to which free agent is vaccinated, which one isn't. But if you had a choice between signing a guy who's vaccinated versus a guy who isn't, and they're pretty much the same player at a similar dollar amount, you're going with the vaccinated guy every single time. Right. So there's that aspect too. The other one that vote brought up, which I thought was kind of interesting, was the NFL has a historically weak players association. Like that players association just gets walked over every collective bargaining agreement time and time again. The NBA has a very strong one. So if it got passed pretty easily in the NFL, I maybe could see some resistance in the NBA. I could see a little bit.
Here's why I can't. When we saw LeBron do his thing where he was, I tried to tell him, I tried to do this or that, but at the end they agreed to the terms or whatever. And I think the NBA, this is as strong as a players union as they have. The money still talks, and the money's great, especially for the people like LeBron and Chris Paul who have loud voices in that players association. So to me, I don't know that this is going to be able to be a thing the players association can push back on. I think they're going to say, hey, if we don't do this, we risk an enormous amount of money, and we've done this for 2 years. We can't keep moving the schedule around. This is our schedule, and there's no changing it. You miss out, it's a loss. It's an L. And so I don't know. I think as we saw last year, the strong players association still chose money over what they thought was the safe way to do it or this or that. And it's going to come down to the exact same option. They're going to take it again. So that's my take on it. We got to move on, though. We do have updated odds next year. The finals just ended, guys. They just ended. So it's time to turn our attention until next year and speculate about who's going to win. And DraftKings has just unveiled their odds for next season. Let's take a look. The Brooklyn Nets are the favorites, plus 200. The Lakers, plus 525 right after them. The Bucks, who just won it, all the way down at third, plus 900. The Warriors are a bit surprising here, plus 1,300, tied with the Phoenix Suns for fourth. The Jazz, plus 1,400. The Clippers, plus 16. 76ers, plus 16. And the Nuggets, after them, the ninth best odds next year at plus 2,000 or 20-1. So if you don't understand how these read, if you bet $100, that'll tell you how much you win. So you bet $100, you win $200 if you get the Nets. If you bet $100, you win $2,000 if you bet on the Denver Nuggets. Harrison, what do you make of these odds? Well, first of all, let's start with the Denver Nuggets. Do you feel like that's about where they should be ranked? Just not even thinking about odds, just think about ranked, most likely to win the title.
Yeah, I'd say that's about right. Because we don't know what's going to be with Jamal Murray next year. We don't know what the Nuggets are going to get from Jamal Murray. We don't know how he's going to look when he gets back from his injury. We don't know what percentage he'll be in the playoffs. Like, if you could guarantee me that Jamal Murray is going to be healthy in the playoffs, yeah, the Nuggets should be much higher. But, we just don't know. The most interesting odds there for me are the Warriors, for sure. This, to me, reads like Vegas is projecting, or the good folks at DraftKings are projecting, a big trade from the Warriors, maybe on draft night, maybe a Pascal Siakam or something like that. Because with their current group, no way should they be plus 1,300.
So I'm going to push back on this. I'm curious if you agree, vote. But if we look at this, the Golden State Warriors had 8 more losses than the Denver Nuggets this year, which is quite a bit. But they were missing Klay Thompson, pretty big piece. And they had a bunch of guys like Wiseman and Pascal, all these guys that got better by the end of the year. They also now have the 4th pick, as you mentioned. They can move Wiseman. They could add a piece. They've got Wiggins as a trade. Like, they do have the ability to get better. But if they just come back as they are, I still think they're a really good team, like as good as a Nuggets roster, this or that. So I don't think it's that crazy that they are 4th.
I would probably stop short of jumping them from missing the playoffs to contender status just because they've added a Klay Thompson coming off of injury. But to your point, there's more to it, the improvement of the younger core. I think they'll be a much better team, and I think they will compete for that sort of 4, 5, 6 range. It does seem a little bit more like almost out of respect, right? I mean, we don't really know what those 3 will look like when they're healthy together again. But I guess it's safe to assume they'll look so good because that's what they've done. But
they never not look good.
Right. But look, that's a lot of impact to ask one guy in Klay to really have. And Draymond is certainly on the decline here with regards to what he provides offensively, at least. So I would stop short of saying that they're in my contender group, but they're a dangerous team.
Here's a fun hypothetical. Let's say the Nuggets, well, it's not really that fun, actually. It's kind of a miserable hypothetical. Let's say the Nuggets next year don't have Jamal Murray the whole year. He has a setback, misses the whole season. And they have the exact same season as the Warriors. They win. They're the 8th seed. They go to the play-in and they don't make it. Would you feel confident about the Nuggets the following year with a fully healthy Murray back? Like, because that's kind of the situation we have here. Would you kind of throw out and say, well, last year doesn't count. The previous years are the ones that really tell us who they are.
Yeah, I guess I just have a hard time seeing this Nuggets team falling. I mean, the other thing is there's Will Barton, who that also factors into these odds, right? If Murray's out all year and they lose Will, I mean, it's going to be hard to view them that way.
Do you think they get a little bump if Will Barton resigns?
Maybe. I mean, not a big one, but I just think that those are compounding factors where you just look at Denver and go, that's a question mark. And so at 2,000, they're kind of right on the outside, right? If things break their way, then you're going to see those odds slide up, and they make a lot of sense in those top 4, top 5.
Yeah. Harrison, is there anybody on here that you feel are very undervalued or overvalued?
The Jazz are going to be really good again next season and probably have a very similar team. Now, if you bet money on the Jazz to win the title, that bet will look great in the regular season because I'm sure they'll be great in the regular season. And then you'll start to get a little nervous in the playoffs. But,
I like this strategy. Bet the Jazz hard and then sell. Take the buyout in February.
Because if you place that bet now, for the next 7 months, you're going to feel great. You're going to be on top of the world. And then maybe you can take that buyout before the playoffs start.
Well, it's funny because I was talking to my gambling buddy Tony when the Nuggets got Aaron Gordon and were just destroying before everything kind of fell apart. and he bought heavy into the Nuggets to win the title and to win the West. And
I remember.
He bet pretty hard. And I was like, okay, you really think they'll win? He goes, I like the odds, and they're going to offer a buyout. Like, come second round, they're going to offer a huge buyout, and that's when I'll cash out. Like, and I was thinking, like, yeah, that's kind of smart. Right now they were like a 5 or 6 seed. If they make it to the second round, they're a top 4 team and probably rolling. So it made sense there. Vote. Is there somebody here you feel is over or undervalued?
Yeah, Philly. I think Philly is too high. I'm serious. They got a lot going on to figure out here with Ben Simmons. Not the biggest free agent situation, but Danny Green, Furkan, Dwight, Mike Scott. These are all unrestricted free agents. If they all leave, that adds up to something. Look, this was the best team Philly had built to date, right? In terms of completeness, regular season success, not just contingent upon the success of these two guys. Arguably, I mean, maybe the East was just that bad, I guess. But
they did come within that bounce of getting to the conference finals with Jimmy Butler.
I just thought that this team was just maybe I thought, okay, there's like a balance to this roster. Daryl Morey's here. Like I see what they're doing. And then they just looked so underwhelming in the playoffs. And they've got arguably the biggest question mark of anyone right now in this offseason, and Ben Simmons. So, yeah, I mean, I think they're getting a boost because they play in the East, and the Atlanta Hawks were just in the conference finals. But yeah. I still think they're too high.
I know it is kind of funny if you go through here. So you got East, and East, and then you got West. And I think the next one was Dallas. Like you had a couple coming up right behind them. So a lot of West. And because of that, that's why I am saying it's the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns, to me, that is the team that is too high. We're in the afterglow here of this great historic run that won. I'm not trying to take anything away from Phoenix. They're a really good team. Everything broke right this year for them to just make it to the finals and then lose.
Yeah.
But on top of that, they have a lot of question marks, like way more question marks than people realize, starting with Chris Paul. Everybody just assumes he's going to opt into that $45 million deal, which most people would do. But I have a strong feeling. I don't have any inside knowledge. I just have a strong feeling Chris Paul's not in Phoenix next year. We'll see what happens. But so to me, him to be up that high, and then on top of that, you got some young players behind him that, we'll see if they end up retaining or what they end up doing. I could just see that Phoenix being a very good team, but not a true contender team or a fringe contender team next year.
So who they were this year before the Lakers got hurt?
100%. Like, look, I'm not trying to take anything away from them. Like this happens every year, a team gets hurt, but this year they were the healthiest team. They were like healthy all the way through. So I know they lost Saric. I know they had some, towards the end there, but
that's another good point from Hurricane here. The Kawhi status. I don't know much about it or how long he'll be out or
he's out. Well, I mean, it's an ACL recovery, right. So it's going to be just like Jamal. I think your most optimistic scenarios would have him coming back at the start of the playoffs. So that's, or maybe just slightly, even like really pushing. I don't think this will happen, especially at his age, but maybe he comes back with a couple of weeks before the playoffs. But either way, that probably hurts more than anything. I just don't think he's playing next year. The only difference is plus 16 to plus 13 compared to Phoenix. Without Kawhi Leonard, that's pretty much what they were. They were challenging Phoenix, just slightly below him. So
right.
So I don't know. Let's hit our first break. On the other side of the break, though, we do have who should we do first? Who are we doing? We'll do Bones. We'll do Bones Highland. Price prospecting and a guy with one of, if not the single best name in the draft. Harrison Guy.
I can't believe D-Line's not on for the Bones Highland preview. How dare he? We're doing this for him. We here at DNVR are now sponsored by Ball across the entire DNVR network. Yes, as in Ball Arena, as where the Nuggets play, as also in the aerospace technology company, also as in the world's largest aluminum can and packaging manufacturer. I didn't know this about Ball before we linked up with them, but they've been leading global sustainability efforts for decades. In 2018 and 2019, Ball Aerospace developed image surveillance systems to observe natural resources from space and methane, ozone, even land and water use. By 2030, Ball aims to reduce operational carbon emissions by 55% across their value chain by 16% from 2017 levels. They are also, of course, the company that makes cans in 8, 12, and 16-ounce sizes for all kinds of liquids. They've got a facility right here in Golden, Colorado, their Golden plant, and they're looking for people to work at their Golden plant. If you want to work for Ball, if you want to work for one of the leaders in global sustainability efforts, check them out. Go to jobs.ball.com, search for Golden, or you can also text Golden to 77222 if you want to work at Ball right here at their Golden plant. Right now on DraftKings, they're getting you ready for the Olympics with an absolute no-brainer of a bet if you've never signed up for DraftKings. What you've got to do is place any pre-event wager of $1 to be eligible to cash $100 in free credits if the USA wins any medal this year. That's 100-1 odds on an American athlete to stand on the podium and receive gold, silver, or bronze this week. It's really that simple, guys. Just download the DraftKings app, use code DNVR, bet $1 on USA to win one medal this week. Gold, silver, or bronze. They will. And when you do, you're going to cash $100 in free site credits. So make sure to download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DNVR when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free credits if the USA wins a medal. That's code DNVR to turn $1 into $100 in free credits for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you have a gambling problem, be sure to call 1-800-522-4700.
You almost got it done in time, but about 10 seconds late for the song.
Maybe next time.
So close, Wendy. I see a conversation going on in the comments right now about the recovery time for Kawhi Leonard. I think it's a bit of a moot point, to be honest. I mean, first of all, Kawhi's not exactly a spring chicken. He's not exactly healthy. So I would be shocked if he rushed back to play in the playoffs. And even if he did, let's say he's ready by April, which I think is being super aggressive. Even if he's ready by April, I just don't think you're that much of a positive impact player, especially when you're like a main piece. I don't know how much of a positive impact player you are with no sort of setup time. So
yeah, I'm a little nervous about just Kawhi's long-term health. Like Kawhi's got a lot of miles on him, man. He's had a lot of these weird. Well, I mean, he did have a really weird quad injury, of course, back with San Antonio. The ACL now. He's had a lot of knee and just leg stuff going on. And he just got a lot of miles on his body. So and he's 30 now. He's on the other side of 30. I'm a little just kind of weary about his long-term physical health.
So weary. I'm like hyper weary. Another guy I'm weary about. Your guy, Bones Hyland. Harrison Wynn's favorite guy. Harrison, I'm going to hand it off to you. You can give us the overview first about Bones Hyland. Who is he? Where's he come from?
Yeah, so Bones Hyland is a 6'3" point guard, 6'9" wingspan. He's 20 years old. He spent 2 years at VCU. He's originally from Delaware. And, yeah, if you just look at him, like, no surprise that his nickname is Bones because he's super skinny. He's really long, really lanky. That's how he's been forever, so that's how he got the nickname. The background on him is he grew up in Delaware, came from a really difficult upbringing with like a ton of trauma. There was an incident following his junior year where he was sleeping in his grandmother's house when it caught on fire. His grandma and cousin passed away in the fire. He had to jump from like a 20-foot high window to get out and tore his patella tendon, couldn't play the next AAU season. Wow. So he kind of fell off the radar for a second, but then came back, had a big-time senior season in high school, was the best player in Delaware, averaged 28 points, actually got recruited by a lot of big-time schools, but stayed loyal to VCU, which was the first school to recruit him. He's also a part-time rapper. I'd say if he was on the Nuggets, he'd be in the top 2 of rappers on the team. So
great intel. Really good intel.
So he's got a really interesting background for one, and you guys know I'm a sucker for a good story, and he's got a really good one. The kind of skinny on him, the first thing that kind of jumps off the screen is his shooting. Like he is a threat to shoot the three the second he crosses half court. He's got Damian Lillard, Steph Curry range. If you go under a screen, he's firing from 3, and he's got a really good looking jumper as well. And then, when he's kind of around the rim, he seems like he knows how to use his length. He's like good in transition. He can string together a bunch of different dribble moves on the fly. He can take and make tough shots around the rim. He's got like nice scoop shots, underhand shots around the rim that the defense doesn't expect. So he's an interesting guy. Late first, probably a second round pick, I'm guessing. But I just like how he plays, man. I like his style for sure.
Yeah. What do you think? Give me your take on him here, Bo.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, you see the skill set right away, right? It's range, it's step backs, it's off the dribble scoring. You do wonder a little bit about what he looks like at the next level in terms of his position and approach, because he does seem to be a ball in his hands kind of scorer. Defensively, there's some weakness there, but he kind of reminds me. I'm not the first to make this comp. It's the obvious one, but Emmanuel Quickly, you can see a little bit of that. But I think he might be his NBA range. I just think he could be a really, really big time shooter, and obviously, I think anyone who's drafting him is hoping that's what they're getting.
Yeah. So for me, it's funny you say Quickly. I could kind of see it because of like the height. To me, he looks more like a 6'3" Brandon Ingram. And what I mean by that is he has like skinny guy tendencies. He's got like really long shins. You know how skinny guys sometimes like they're just so lengthy. Like he's got a little Michael Porter syndrome. Both of the guys we're going to talk about have a little Michael Porter syndrome to them, where they're like high hipped, long legged, and so their center of gravity is almost like higher than most players. But you can just kind of see the movements. It reminds me so much of a like a Brandon Ingram, because I don't know that he's necessarily quick, but he's just like got long strides, long arms, those kinds of things. Really good shooter. I mean, we'll see some of the 3-point shots that he takes. I mean, I'd be curious to see what some of the numbers are, but I'm guessing he takes as deep a threes as anybody. Like in college basketball, like the percentage of shots that came from I mean, look at these shots. He's always at NBA range or close to it. So, pretty much without doubt that he is an NBA range shooter, because that's just what he's been taking. So he's really interesting in that regard. You guys know me by now, though, that like I have types of guys I like and types of guys I don't. And this is
not your guy.
This is not my guy. Really good. I mean, I think he has some pick and roll scoring to him too. And as you mentioned, some finishing around the rim is really good. Sometimes when you get skinny guys, they suck at getting into the paint, but he's got that. But he's pretty laser focused on scoring. I mean, he's looking at all times to get his shot off, and really misses some pretty easy reads sometimes. He projects. I just don't know how much vision is a thing that a player can improve over time. I think vision is sort of I don't know if it's innate, but I just don't know if you like teach it. He is a gunner. I think it's really difficult. Look at the shot, guys. Look how deep that shot is.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean, so many of these just look like it's just every shot not every shot, but so many of the threes he takes are those really, really deep ones. So the shooting range, we're just getting to the shooting range portion of this video, and it's actually, baby. It's pretty comical because there are
look it into my veins.
I know,
and it's all like step back, side steps off the dribble, just
transition pull-ups too. Like he does. I mean, look at that one. That's a real logo three.
Ridiculous.
So I think what was he as a career in his career? Yeah, career 40%. I think he was like 43 his freshman season on 4.5 attempts or something like that, and then I think it dropped to 37 or so his.
Last year he shot 37% from three, but he shot 8 threes a game.
Yeah, 8 3. That's so many, man. He kind of looks like Michael Porter on defense in that, how Michael Porter's obviously 6'10", 6'11", and long, but he's just where his footwork is so slow, and it's almost like he's going in slow motion defensively, and I don't know that you could fix that.
The shot's pretty sweet, though.
The shot is really sweet, though, and the range is really incredible.
I wonder, the handle can be a little loose at times. This is a wiry frame, not a super strong guy, so he finishes well around the rim. But how well will he get to the rim at the next level? It's something that's just that much harder to do. Will he be reduced to a shooter? I'm sure in the early years, probably. But I mean, you can definitely. This is if someone drafts Bones Hyland, why, who they're hoping to get, right?
Yeah. Eric has a very inappropriate comment here. He says he has a bit of a boneser. I love how Eric said he was too busy to be on the show today.
And
then it's just in the comments.
Shit posting in the comments.
He really just wanted to be in the comments.
That's it.
Let's be honest.
He really just wanted to. Cade, our guy Cade Walker says he thinks his defense is underrated. Had a really good steal rate for a guy that's not trying to sell out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Guarding at the NBA level is just so hard. You guys know I keep talking about this, but there's only like a handful of guys who are even capable of guarding at the NBA level. And seeing where he's at the college level, I'm just like, I don't know. But he does have some length, and that's part of what's so important is just those physical attributes. Here he is. As I mentioned, a lot of times these skinny guys don't get to the rim. He really got creative finishing and good touch. A lot of right-handed stuff, but he's pretty good. You see how he goes to that right hand even off of like awkward finishes or whatever.
Yeah. Just natural he is a natural scorer. He's just kind of wired to score. I was reading Sam Vecini's draft guide that I just put out.
Yeah.
And he's got that Bones Hyland made 36% of his shots from 27 feet and out. So like on really long threes, he's shooting 36%. And here's another stat. Get this. He made about one pull-up transition 3 per game and shot them at 49%. So like on transition threes, he shot 49%, which is crazy.
It's so funny. His skill set is such that like some of the stuff that's really important at the next level, like, being able to defend strength with amongst NBA athletes is like, he's a project, a full on project, but he's so good at shooting and he's so comfortable shooting from deep that it really might not matter all this other stuff. And so he's one of those guys that 3 years from now, when he no longer has this 19-year-old body, right, he might just be a guy that's like, why did people pass on Bones? He shoots 42% from threes. He's like knockdown shooter. So I don't know. He's just interesting in that way.
Harrison, what is he playing at the next level? Is he a point guard? He's a point guard, right? But he doesn't play like a floor general,
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because at VCU, I mean, he was the number one guy. Like they put the ball in his hands and they're like, all right, we need you to score or create like every time down. So that's why I think particularly last year at VCU, you probably saw a lot of the stuff where he was like missing reads and not passing because he was just trying to score every time.
Sure.
So I think if you pick him, you can talk yourself into saying, okay, like when he's around more talented players and he doesn't have to try to score the ball every time down, you'll be able to see a little more of his game. But yeah, I mean, I feel like he'll be able to play both backcourt spots, or ideally, if you pick him, he's a guy who can play both point guard and shooting guard.
This is the weak hands, like sort of like low light reel. And it just makes you think. Can you imagine watching him and MPJ? Nobody being able to hold onto the ball. So I got to ask, Bones Highland, such a good name. I always like when people have a nickname as their first name. Nobody knows him as Nishan. Everybody's Bones. And by the way, Bones is so fitting because he's skeletal framed. But so I feel like that's a huge plus for him.
Oh yeah,
he goes by Bones.
Deuce and Bones.
Just another one, yeah,
for sure. I mean, the other reason I'm a huge fan of him is he just seems like a gamer. He just seems like a super competitive dude who's had to like fight for everything he's gotten in basketball so far. And I just think he's kind of a gamer. I think he's a foxhole type guy.
You know what's funny? You know who he kind of reminds me of? Both of these guys today are very similar in that they're both hyper skinny and have like really, some like nice talents, but they have so many gaps. It kind of reminds me of Quincy Miller. I know that was before, I think, both of your guys' time with Denver just a little bit, but Quincy Miller was like 6'10", could really shoot, had a great one-on-one game. And you're like, man, if this guy puts it together, he'll be great. He just never put it together, and he was always like terrible at actual basketball. But I'm sure he was a guy that when they did King of the Court, just killed everyone.
Right.
He kind of reminds me of that. Like you see some of these moves, like even on this low light reel where you see some of these crossovers and you're like, man, he's got good moves and good footwork, but he just can't do anything with it.
Yeah, that's one of the other knocks on him. He just can dribble the air out of the ball at times.
Well, watch some of these plays where they'll pause it where he goes into 4 or 5 defenders and doesn't see the wide open guys, and you think, oh my God.
Right.
There's no feel for the court, no feel for the timing of it.
And I don't know if this is like lazy, you know what I mean, in terms of archetype description, but he just in one NBA role you could see for him is that is that sixth man just come in and light it up, right? I mean, I think that's something he can probably learn to be more than that. But I think that's something with just what you see now, the tools in the box, that's like a high-end projection that makes sense, right?
Here's the defensive low light reel, which is really, I mean, just a lot of getting beat off the dribble. But, by the way, we should say shout out to Adam Spinella, who makes these videos. He was a friend of the show. He was on last week. Really fantastic. If you missed that episode, we talked about a bunch of players, and he scouts these guys way more than any of us on this panel do. So definitely worth taking a check. We didn't talk about Bones Hyland, though, at all on the show, but he is the guy, Adam Spinella, who makes all these videos, and they're great. Some of these, like, look at it when he gets beat. Some of these,
the defense is really rough, really rough.
I think on these videos you can really overemphasize like really bad because
what even was that?
That's a little MPJ-esque, isn't it?
I know some of these are pretty wild.
Just like choosing the wrong direction to go, trying to get around a screen, like that's
so it's funny. If everybody missed it, I highly recommend you go back and check out the Keeping It 1000 podcast with George Carl. Just had it yesterday. It's up on the Keeping It 1000 podcast feed. It's up on our YouTube channel as well if you want to watch the interview. But, he's a big advocate for trading the pick, at 26. Surprise, surprise. But I'm telling you, you look at videos like this and you go like, Bones Hyland, do I like him? Sure. Is he going to contribute in any meaningful way this year? Absolutely not. There's almost no chance, in my opinion, that Bones Hyland would be a contributor for Denver this year. And if you gave Michael Malone that and said, hey, you need to get this team to be a top 10 defense to have a realistic shot at a title. Here's Bones Hyland to help with that. He'd be just like, what are we doing here? I would even say that Bones is a little bit of a 2-year project player, meaning I wouldn't, just looking at him, most realistic scenario, could he be an impact spot up shooter next year? Or, not this upcoming season, but the year after? Yeah, but could he be more than that? I don't know, man. Like, he has a lot of work to put in, even just physically. So I think he's more of a 3-year prospect than even just a 1 year. So
I mean, even the high-end versions of it, like Brandon Ingram took 2-3 years before he was physically ready to play in the NBA.
And he's 6'9". Right. That's a 6'9" player. Like, you get down. I mean, there is Emmanuel Quickly, who's made an impact for the Knicks. So maybe you could look at that and be optimistic. But Denver's in a different scenario and they have different needs. So I'm a little out. What about you, Vote?
I don't know if I'm out. I don't know. He's definitely not my favorite guy we've looked at so far. But he is a guy where, like, let's say we're sitting there, it's draft night, Denver pulls the trigger. Can you talk yourself into it? Especially there on the show trying to have some fun. Yeah, man. You just go, well, this is a shooter with NBA range. It's another weapon. We'll see what happens. But he's not like I'm a Springer guy personally, and I also may be leaning more towards that archetype than Bones.
Yeah, but when I say I'm out on Bones, by the way, I mean for Denver. I don't want people adding me when he goes for 30 points playing for the Orlando Magic, and in April he drops 30 points. I'm just saying for Denver, I don't know that he fixes any problems that they have.
Yeah, I can see that, but I mean, when you're picking at 26, I don't know if you can expect any rookie to come in and fix a problem that you have.
Right. That's a great point. That's the weird thing about this draft. And also, like, you look at some of these mock drafts and where they're slotting guys for Denver, and you'll see like, well, Denver could use another ball handler with Murray out. And it's like, dude, I don't think Malone is going to play this 19-year-old ball handler at all until Jamal Murray's back.
There's no way Malone would play Bones, man. I just would be so shocked.
Yeah.
If he played,
so Denver's kind of. You probably just have to take the best player available, right? At 26, and like you're not really plugging any holes, but I don't know.
And you probably have to take a guy who's more understanding that first year you're going to be on the bench, unless you have one of the 2 or 3 guys that is like more. Hey, there is a chance for you to be a defensive specialist here this year as a rookie, but. Outside of that, I would agree. Let's take our last break. On the other side, we have one more guy, BJ Boston. Very interesting guy. Another one of these big recruits, underwhelming freshman season. What do we make of that? So we'll talk about him next.
Guys, they got a lot of good deals going on at Solace Meds right now throughout the month of July. You can get 25% off all Wana, 20% off all Open cured resin cartridges, 20% off all Green Dot concentrates. Tons and tons of other deals at Solace Med. You can always get 20% off when you use the code DNVR20, though, at checkout. So roll into any of their 4 Colorado locations. They got one in Fort Collins, one in Wheat Ridge, one off of Broadway, one on East Colfax, just blocks from the DNVR bar. Drop the code DNVR20 at checkout. You will get 20% off your entire purchase. If you stop in at that Wheat Ridge location as well, you're going to get a free Solace bar or King Cone with your purchase too. But remember that code DNVR20 to get 20% off from Solace Meds.
It's not quite that. Sorry, Harrison, keep going. We're just having some fun over here. Just keep going.
No, I love it. Let's see. Chevalier Mortgage. These guys, they've been in the mortgage business forever. They know everything about it. It can be really stressful trying to buy a house right now, especially if it's your first time. If you've gone through the process, you know how stressful it can be. Mike and Virginia Chevalier, they're experts, though. They've been in the mortgage business forever. They can make a really difficult process super easy. So check them out at dnvrmortgage.com. Enter to win a free DNVR shirt or hat of your choice when you do. Most importantly, get set up with a free consultation with those guys. Again, visit them at dnvrmortgage.com. Michael Chevalier, NMLS number 1931006. Virginia Chevalier, NMLS number 1910631. Less. Finally. At Hassel Cattle Company, go to hasslecattlecompany.com. Use code DNVR10. You're going to get 10% off your entire purchase at checkout. They've got every type of Wagyu beef you could want at Hassel Cattle Company. They only, carry Wagyu because it's the best. We've also got Wagyu beef at the DNVR bar in our burger. One of my go-to items on the menu. I saw Adam in the bar the other night eating a burger. He's going to town on it.
Going to town.
I was eating the burger. What was I supposed to do to it?
Loving that Wagyu beef. Loving it. You can try it out at the DNVR bar if you're in the area. If not, go to hasslecattlecompany.com. Use the code DNVR10 for 10% off your order. Any order over $200, you will receive free shipping. Check them out today. You will not be disappointed with Hassel Cattle Company.
Hey, great job on getting that done before the song ran out. In fact, right at the end of the song.
Look at
that. Winding down here. That's fantastic work. I don't know. You're speaking of Hassel Cattle Company. I don't think I'm Eric wants to pop in for the Hassel Cattle Company.
Of course. That guy's got Hassel Cattle Company dripping out of his skin.
What's your cholesterol at? Like, there's a lot of
steeping out of his pores.
Yeah.
I assume he was a ribeye last night. He probably had one for lunch. I don't know if I can share this. So you guys keep this a secret. Don't let the boss know. The greatest menu item in DNVR bar history that went away when the pandemic went away. So I actually have never even had it. I've only seen it and it looks fantastic. Is coming back to the menu. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, is it the
redacted?
Is this what you were thinking?
I don't know what that means.
I have no idea what that means.
You don't know what it is. It's great, though. It's great. So you guys can wait for that.
It does look like you've got a thin film of pizza grease on your computer camera, though.
I was trying to get it off earlier. I don't know what I don't even know where the
saliva
is.
smudge.
It could be some juice from ribeye.
Juice from the ribeye. All right. So Harrison, we have another one here. Here I have my this is what you're supposed to use for these. Let me see if this works.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I'm
HT now.
Wow, look at that. What's he say? I don't know what you come to Denver. I don't know why I talked you out of that.
Dude, come to Denver, drop into the bar, have a Wagyu burger.
Oh,
boom.
Definitely. Or you have the new menu item that's coming back that you're gonna love. You can have that first. All right, Harrison, BJ Boston. First of all, I gotta say, Rob Nugg says he can't root for anybody with the name Boston. Understand that, but also BJ. Why not? Why not a BJ?
I don't know.
Who doesn't root for BJ?
The name BJ Boston kind of just rolls off the tip of your tongue.
It's another great. It's a great name. It's another great name.
Yeah. All right, BJ Boston, 6'7" wing with a 6'11" wingspan. He's 19 years old. Spent 1 year at Kentucky. Like you were saying, Adam, former big-time recruit, former 5-star recruit, top 5 ranked player in his class, played his senior year of high school at Sierra Canyon with Bronny James, Zaire Wade, just an absolutely stacked team. I think Zaire Williams from Stanford was also on that team as well.
Yeah.
So he's a big time guy. Everybody, in the college basketball scene, in the prep hoop scene knows about BJ Boston. NBA evaluators have known about him forever.
By the way, Sierra Canyon, significantly better than my high school basketball team.
Is that true? Is that
I'm just coming across all these guys that are in the NBA and you're like, wow. Imagine getting matched up with them.
Maybe better than your college team as well?
Definitely better than mine. Are you kidding me? Of course they're better than my college team.
Yeah. But the thing about BJ Boston, he kind of got to Kentucky and just wasn't that good.
Yeah.
He didn't even make all freshman team in the SEC. I think there were 8 guys named to that team. Came on a little later in the year, but just was not a really effective college basketball player. And you look at like his measurables, they look great. 6'7" with a 6'11" wingspan, like really good size for an NBA wing. He's another guy, kind of like Bones Hyland, where he's just wired to score. I feel like he's got good scoring instincts, a good looking jumper, but it was inconsistent for him last year. On drives, he's got great body control, really fluid to the rim, good change of direction. He's got a little bit of shake to his game too. Can string together multiple dribble moves, crossovers, step back between the legs and go to work on somebody. He just wasn't that good at Kentucky. And you can probably talk yourself into him being like, oh, a lot of Kentucky guys don't look great at Kentucky. And then they kind of actualize their pre-Kentucky form at the next level.
Plus that Kentucky team was just bad, right?
Right. It was a weird Kentucky team where they just weren't good. They were not good either. So he had a rough year at Kentucky, but before last season, like I said, he was a top 5 recruit in his class.
I wonder if guys like this from Kentucky who go and have like underwhelming years and the team is bad, are they fully in the Kentucky club? You know how there's a Kentucky club where like they're all buddies. Do you think Jamal Murray and Devin Booker are kind of like, man, you guys sucked? Embarrassed us.
I mean, yeah, probably.
He more than even than the last guy, Bones. BJ Boston really reminds me of Brandon Ingram physically. Just like, I mean, again, they're both shorter. Brandon Ingram 6'9", but again, another fellow skinny guy, just really, really long, really lanky, and he uses that well. I think it's funny. We have a guy always rude in the comments, but he always is like, you look at the PER, this or that stat for this guy or that guy. Like, he's a guy that you're going to look at every advanced stat, regular stat, whatever, and say this guy's terrible. When you look at the film, and I imagine like you could do individual workouts and there's things to like because the measurables are so great. I mean, he could be a 6'7" guard with that long wingspan, and he really uses it well defensively. He gets into passing lanes, he pokes balls away, does a lot of that stuff. But it's all highlighted by the fact that he just wasn't a good player last year and in his one rookie seasons or freshman season. So physical tools, some of this like empty gym stuff he looks really great in, but all the other stuff. Oh, here we go, a little commercial here. What do we got? Okay.
Yeah, so he obviously did not shoot well at all. But again, that team was kind of a mess. And my understanding is people who have followed him closely and scouts aren't too worried about that. They still think Boston's shot will come around. I didn't watch a ton of Kentucky games. I caught some. The shot selection from Boston always kind of gave me a little pause. Definitely a bit of a guy who will go hunting for his own shot, dancing a little bit one-on-one. And sometimes he's just dancing, right? I mean, the first step isn't super explosive. So there are little moments, possessions in a game where he does something where you go, wow. But there were very few, I think, complete games where you went, that was a high impact player, at least yet to this point in his career.
Yeah, he to me is definitely a Grand Rapids guy.
Yeah.
Like I could talk myself into Bones contributing a little bit next season. BJ Boston, though, definitely not. Like BJ Boston is definitely a G League guy, at least for a year.
Are you surprised at all, guys, that he's not going back to school? Given where he was coming out of high school, where he could be drafted as far as the caliber of player he thinks, he might view himself as.
I think Calipari's good with this though. Like I've heard too many stories about guys that have been on the fence, and Calipari's like, "Yo, I got a 5-star recruit coming in next year that'll probably start over you."
Right.
So I wonder if there's some of that. Just like he had an underwhelming year, and it's like your spot next year is not guaranteed. So you come back, you might have to come back and play even fewer minutes or even reduce.
Yeah, and right now at the point in his career, he's closer in time to being the 5-star recruit. Like that was only a year ago.
I know.
He spends another year in college and he doesn't play well.
Right.
Like, oh, maybe you're that guy instead of the 5-star recruit, which he was just a year ago.
Good point.
Boston to me, like he has some interesting physical traits to him. So there's part of him that I kind of like as a long-term project, but he has, of all the guys we've talked about, maybe the highest bust potential because his actual skills and impact right now are so low. I
mean, his floor is just never playing an NBA minute.
Ever.
Like that's his floor.
I mean, Trey Lyles had if this was a Trey Lyles thing where you're like, man, the advanced stats don't like him and his regular stats, and he always gets benched everywhere he goes, but he is 6'10", and you're like, okay, like this doesn't actually matter if he can't.
Well,
play.
You know what else scares me too about Boston is this a guy who's gonna feel some sort of desperation to play himself back into the way he was once talked about, right? As a number one guy, which was not that long ago for him. Whereas sometimes in that late first or second round, you're drafting 3-4 year guys who know exactly what their meal ticket is to the NBA and know what their approach should be. Is Boston going to be a guy that plays like, someone who feels like he should be a lottery player? So,
yeah. So today's a little underwhelming for me personally. I'm out on Boston. I wouldn't really want the Nuggets to take him.
He would be a second rounder though, right? I mean, this is at 26.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah, but can you imagine the Nuggets trading for Boston? Like that's almost worse.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
So I don't see this happening, and I'm not too keen on seeing it happen.
Yeah, I'm not really a Boston guy either, but I do like Bones Hyland.
Bones Hyland's your guy. You're not leaving.
He's one of many guys. He's one of many guys who are mine.
You're not leaving Bones Hyland Island.
Oh God.
What do you mean, oof? I heard an oof over there. What was that?
No, it was great. It was great.
Yeah, thanks.
Bro, just say Highland Island.
Highland Island, baby. You're on Highland Island. All right. Hey, that was a fun show, guys. It was especially smooth without Eric, I thought.
Just like transition to transition, like very professional, buttoned up.
I know. So it's insightful. It is even funnier in many ways.
He added a lot to the comment section, though.
That's true, actually. There he is.
There he is. Look at that smiling face, dude. That's the Eric we all know and love. Look at that. All right, everybody. Thanks. Hit the like button for us on your way out the door. Don't forget, tomorrow is Casual Friday, the most casual day of the week for us. We'll have more prospects. We're getting through. I feel like we have quite a few prospects we've already made our way through. Like, I feel like I have most of these guys. We've probably got another 10 to get through between now and next Thursday. We'll make our way through all of them. And then don't forget, next Thursday, we're going to be live for like 5 hours during the entire draft. You can watch it here on our YouTube page. That'll be a lot of fun, but it'll even be more fun to come down to the DNVR bar where you can also listen to the show. Maybe even participate in the show. We have some ways to bring the audience in if you're down at the DNVR bar. You got something funny there?
Yeah. Can you put this picture up that I just put in the private chat? This Nuggets tweet that just came out.
The Nuggets chat?
No, the private chat that just on StreamYard. That link.
Oh, let me
put
see
up that link really quick. Put up that link if you can.
All right, share screen. I'm going over here. Let me see if I know how to do this. Chrome tab.
So we got Zeke in the lab here.
Okay.
Go to the Zeke pick, and then just zoom in on Michael Malone there in the background. Just looks so pleased. Looks so pleased.
What do we have in the lab today? So we know we had Aaron Gordon. We got Zeke Naji. We got Marcus Howard is in the house. This is ramp up for Summer League, baby. Let's get it. Look at these guns, by the way, guys.
Dude, yet another Summer League that I'm stoked for.
Look at I know we talk every year about this time. We're like, oh hell yeah!
I've already got my bold predictions for Summer League just percolating.
Oh, I love it. All right, everybody, we're out the door. Have a good day. Be safe. Let me see if I can find. Where's the outro? There it is. Right.
Yeah, we'll do it live.
We'll do it live. That's not the outro. Here's the outro.